In this video, I'm going to be making a full tier list of every single side hustle that you can start doing in 2024 and beyond. These are some of the best side hustles and some of the worst side hustles. I'm going to tell you which ones I definitely recommend getting started with and which ones I recommend you avoiding. So without further ado, let's get into this tier list. All right, first things first, guys, let's kind of break down how we're going to be organizing this and some of the side hustles that we're going to be going over. As you can see here, we have our side hustle tier list, and down here we have a couple of different options that we can choose from. Now, I'm going to be going through each of these specific side hustles as we go. I'm going to be giving my opinions about them. Every single side hustle inside of this list, by the way, are side hustles that I have personally done. This is not me giving some kind of altered opinion about some of these or saying things about them that I haven't done. I've done all of these side hustles, so I know basically what I'm talking about. I know what works. I know what doesn't. Just to kind of give you some clarification there. Now, we basically have a couple different tiers that we can choose from if you're not familiar with how a tier list works. And that's kind of why we're doing basically the side hustles here. We're basically starting at S tier, meaning like this is a really, really great way to make money on the side if you're doing a side hustle. A decent way to make money, but has its pitfalls. B, it's average. It kind of makes money, kind of doesn't. It's for some people, not for other people. C is like doesn't really make money. Very, very few people are successful with it. D, nobody's really making money with it. It's not what it's all cracked up to be. And E is it's awful. It's just don't even try to start it. So now to get that out of the way, just to give you a clear idea of what my kind of category in my ranking system is, let's start with our first side hustle. As you can see here, I have this kind of green little camera here that says home focus. This is real estate photography. Now, if any of you out there have any kind of interest in photography or have a camera or you have some type of desire to get into photography and you want to make money doing it, this is probably one of the best ways to go about doing it. And there's a few reasons why. The first reason, and I've had direct experience with this, is when you're looking for photography gigs, there's really only a couple of different industries that pay really well that are worth pursuing, in my opinion, when it comes to photography. One of those is automotive, right? Shooting vehicles, right? Cars, dealerships, things like that. The second is weddings. Really, really profitable. And the third is real estate, which is kind of what we're talking about here. Now, real estate can differ. A lot of agents who you're mostly going to be working with real estate agents here. It's possible that there is a brokerage that wants to kind of bring you on full time as their in-house photographer, but it's pretty rare. Yeah, it's kind of a very few and far between position that you're going to end up being able to get. But most of the time you're going to be working freelance. You're going to be working with agents all throughout your county or your city. And basically you're just going to be reaching out to them. Most of the time you're DMing them on Instagram and asking them, hey, I'm a photographer. Here's how much I charge per hour. Here are some of the things I can do. Here's some of my examples. Here's a portfolio, right? Have like a Google Drive link that you can send them of your portfolio of work and then say, here's what I can do for you. Let me know if this looks good. Most of the time they won't respond to you. If they do respond to you though, a lot of times they will end up giving you a gig and they'll say, hey, I need you to come to this house at this time, film. I need you to, take photos, film, whatever. Videography is a different breed. We'll kind of get into that maybe in a future video. But when it comes to just generalized photography, this is something that is very, very easy to do, right? You come in, snap a few photos. Usually it depends on the state that you're in. It depends on what other photographers in your city are charging. If you don't have any examples of work yet, really, really strong recommendation here is to go and work for free for like a couple of different real estate brokers or a couple of different real estate agents, just to get examples of work, right? It's going to suck. It's going to suck that you have to work for free. But again, if you are just starting out and have no examples of work, well, this is a good example. Also, another great way to get examples of work is to go take photos of your family's house. People in your family have homes. More than likely, they own some type of property. You can go take photos for them and use that in your portfolio as examples, right? So basically, I would say that again, in the earning potential, by the way, as far as what you can charge, it really depends. A lot of brokers and agents are really stingy and they're not going to want to pay you a lot of money with this. So I'd highly recommend charging relatively low, anywhere between 40 to 50 an hour. And I know that's high, but again, you come to these shoots and these shoots are only about 2 to 3 hours long realistically, right? You shouldn't take more than that to basically take photos of the whole house. And then once you're done, you edit them and then send them off to them and all of that. So I would say that it's a decent side hustle if you're just getting started. If you want to kind of dabble your feet into the photography industry and start making money with that, it's not too bad. I would probably rank it at a B. I don't think it's an amazing side hustle. It's not a awful side hustle though. It's definitely a decent way to make money, but I think it is a B. All right, next up we have the YouTube logo. This is What I mean by this is content creation or creating YouTube videos to make money off them, to basically create content, right, on YouTube. This, I almost don't even need a question. This is S tier. This is one of the easiest and, in my opinion, one of the best ways to make money on a side hustle, just doing something that is not only really fun, making YouTube videos is incredibly fun. I make them like this all the time, but having a YouTube channel is an incredibly powerful tool to start making money very quickly through YouTube's AdSense program, but also too, you can make money through a bunch of different avenues too. You're talking brand deals, we're talking affiliate links, we're talking courses, right? You're kind of making a personal brand, right? It's more than just, posting YouTube videos on YouTube. It's more so that you're building a personal brand around a niche. I would say the hardest part here is that if you don't have a strong film background, if you don't know how to use cameras, you don't know how to edit videos, these are definitely things that could detract from this, but something you can very easily learn how to do. I'm self-taught on pretty much everything. All the lighting you see, the microphones, cameras, all of this is pretty much my own desire, right? I learned how to do all this from YouTube and just watching videos, tutorials, and kind of learning from other people on what they do and kind of how I can do it for myself. So again, people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on their YouTube channels. Some of the biggest YouTubers out there, really, really successful side hustle. The biggest kind of piece of advice I could give to you with this, stick with it, be consistent. YouTube rewards people that post consistently. If you can get at least 2 to 3 videos out a week when you're first getting started, really, really recommend doing that. That's how you're going to really build up your audience and get consistently ranking your videos in the algorithm and being consistent. But you got to be consistent. You have to continue to post over and over again. And even when you're not getting a lot of views, don't let it discourage you. You got to keep going. So yeah, creating YouTube videos, definitely S rank here. One of the top of the top. Next up, we have eBay. This is actually, I'm going to put this in A, only because it's a really beginner-friendly side hustle. And there's a couple of different things you can do on eBay, right? There's market arbitrage, where you go to stores, find products that are cheaper than they would be otherwise, and then resell them on eBay for a profit. Sneaker flipping, a lot of people do that on eBay. That's not as profitable as it used to be though, especially in 2024. It's become a little bit more relevant. And then just flipping random generalized items that have high resale value. There's like flipping discords that you can join that tell you, oh, this is what you can do on eBay and here's how you can do it and everything. For this specific side hustle though, what I really recommend you do is, and I'm sure you have something like this, look around your house for your particular specific items. Look at stuff you don't use anymore. Look at stuff that's just kind of collecting dust, or look at stuff that you probably shouldn't really have anymore. One of the best examples of this was I had a Xbox, a PlayStation, I had a bunch of these game consoles, and I upgraded to like a new game console, I think of like, I don't even know, this was like 5 years ago. And I had a PlayStation 4 just sitting there collecting dust. Never play it, never touched it. I look up on eBay at the time, they were selling for about, I think like $250 or something like that. I was like, I'll sell this right away. So I got a couple games with it, took a couple photos, posted on eBay, quick $250, shipped it off to the person. And that was money in my pocket, right? That I was able to kind of get back from that. And then there was other stuff around the house too. I had old camera gear that I was able to sell. I had some video games that actually were worth quite a bit of money because they were kind of old and vintage, and just stuff like that. Find stuff around your house that you can sell. And this can be a really good way to make some very quick cash that you can either use for your personal life, save it, or obviously reinvest it into a different side hustle or a business that you have more passion about. eBay's really good though. Highly, highly recommend. Next one here, this isn't incredibly obvious what it is, but this is a icon representing internet surveys, right? Taking internet surveys. If there was an F tier, I would put it in the F tier. Internet surveys do not pay money, guys. I don't know how I can keep saying this. This is something that I see people talk about all the time on the internet.
Just take this survey and you'll make all this money from taking the survey and giving them your opinion about things, or watch 20 YouTube videos and we'll pay you $500 for your opinion.
Don't do it. It's almost every single time you will never hit the required amount that they want you to hit to actually earn the money that they say you'll earn. Most of these online surveys are a scam. Most of them are. The ones that are real don't pay enough money to make it worth it in the first place. You get paid like 20 cents per survey, and you can only take like 3 surveys a day or something like that. It will never, ever be enough. If you have unlimited time on your hands, I would not even recommend doing this. I just think that ultimately internet surveys are never, ever a good side hustle. There's so many other things you could learn how to do. Learn a high income skill, right? Something else that is more worth your time than taking online surveys. Please do not do this. It's such a waste of time. Next up here, this isn't incredibly obvious, but again, the icon that I have represented here, this is tutoring, right? Helping people learn how to do stuff in school or for some kind of schedule. So this is pretty decent. I would say the only issue with this side hustle is that it's kind of hard to find clients for, unless you have like a personal brand where you're posting content on like Instagram or YouTube or something like that. This is very hard to find people for. Now, again, you can tutor people in your, whether you're in high school or in your college, but most of the time you're not going to easily find people that are willing to pay you to learn how to do a specific subject. A lot of parents will pay you if you can hack a really good like network of parents. That might help. So if you can tap into something like that, that might be a really good marketing channel to grow your tutoring business. But again, you can charge quite a bit. You can charge an hourly rate to teach people math, science, any of the STEM subjects are really, really good because a lot of people struggle with those because they're very difficult. So if you have a certain kind of aptitude already, like let's say, oh, I'm really good at math, or oh, I'm really good at science, or I'm really good at chemistry. These are things that you can tutor people on an hourly basis for. Just remember that most people, if they're in college or in high school and the kids are paying for it, they're probably broke. So they're not going to be able to pay you a whole lot of money. The parents, however, again, if you're in a really rich school district and, parents have money, this could be potentially a pretty nice side, income for you, or a nice side hustle. But basically just kind of rank this. I don't want to put this at a super high rating or anything because again, it is kind of hard to find clients and customers for this. So I would put it at the C. Decent way to make money, but still a little hard to market and find people. Next up is UGC. This is user generated content. Basically where you're making content for a brand. I see a bunch of people on TikTok do this, and you are selling either some kind of product, recommending a product, reviewing a product, showing how it works, doing something like that. And basically you either have some kind of affiliate link that you're associated with, or you're being paid directly by the brand to make content about the product. There's tons of people who actually do this really, really successfully, especially on TikTok, who basically are almost like a branded or a personal brand of the account, right? So basically you have like a person who says, okay, there's this lotion that I really like, and this brand makes the lotion. I'm going to reach out to the brand. I'm going to email them. I'm going to DM them. I'm going to reach out to them in some form or fashion and basically say, hey, I would like to make videos for you. I would like to, here's how much per month I'd be willing to do it for, $500 a month, and I'll make you 10 videos on my TikTok page with 10K followers, right? Again, you have to have leverage for this. Big thing. You either have to have leverage for this, so you have to have some kind of account that's already has some kind of traffic source going to it, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, right? You have to have some kind of meaningful audience that will engage with your content and more than likely buy the product that you're talking about. Otherwise, brands aren't really going to be willing to work with you. This is kind of like having brand deals as a content creator. It's kind of in the same thing. Really, really great way to make money. The biggest kind of barrier to entry here, though, is that you need to already have kind of an audience, right? So if you don't already have that little piece of advice, start posting, get consistent with posting content every single day, grow your account, especially around a niche that you care about or that you can see yourself selling products for. So if it's makeup, right, make makeup content. If it's dropshipping, make dropshipping content. If it's whatever the actual product is, just make content in that niche and then be consistent, grow an audience, and then you can start doing UGC for like big brands. So I would say that's a B. We'll put that in B tier. All right, the next side hustle we have is Adobe Illustrator. It's the icon for it, but this is graphic design. Now, graphic design is super helpful. It is a super solid side hustle if you're good at it. And if you're on the right channels and you're on the right platforms, you can get paid quite a bit for it too. Now, I'd highly recommend going to something like Fiverr or Upwork or any of these kind of freelancing sites where you can post your services on there and you can start doing graphic design for people. Also, graphic design is kind of it's a real career, right? It's a degree that you could go get at school. There are plenty of agencies, editing organizations, media companies that need graphic designers desperately. They need people who do really high quality work so they don't have to outsource it. A lot of times when you outsource graphic design work, it doesn't really turn out as good as it could if you do it locally. If you actually get people who have a background and a professionally trained background in graphic design. So this is a pretty good one. You do need to have quite a few skills as a barrier to entry here though. Again, having a full kind of repertoire of, I know how to do this, I can do this, I'm fluent in this graphic design program or this graphic design program. I'll design your YouTube banners, right? I'll do your thumbnails, things like this can be a really quick and easy way to make money. And then also Fiverr, Upwork, great place to look for work. If you want to look even further, you can DM creators directly. I'd recommend finding some of your favorite YouTubers that are really small, anywhere between 500 subs to like 2,000 subs. Email them, DM them, say, hey, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a thumbnail designer. Here's an example of my work. I'd love to work for you for this much. Let me know how that sounds, right? Don't be cheesy. Don't try to do anything, funky. I get cold emails and messages all day from people trying to sell me their service. And it's always, usually the ones I don't pay attention to are the ones where they try to do these kind of cheap gimmicks and, really kind of dumb tricks to get me to respond. Usually I just respond to people who are direct with me and say, here's what I'm offering. Here's my service. Here's what I've done before. Here's how I can help you. I usually respond to those. So try to do that if you're trying to do outreach to get more work. But as far as the tier that we're going to put it in, I'm feeling between B or C. I don't really know which one to put it just because there is a bit more of a barrier to entry as far as the skills that you need. I think I'm going to put this in C. I think we'll put graphic design in C. Now we have our next row of side hustles. We'll move up here so we can see it a little bit better. First up here, we have a Shopify logo. This is drop shipping. I have mixed feelings about drop shipping. It's not how it used to be back in 2016 when it was really, really easy to be really successful at drop shipping. But it also, in some weird way, is kind of also a little bit easy now thanks to something called TikTok Shop. If you haven't used TikTok Shop, again, it's basically where you can have TikToks that you create about a specific item, service, or product, and people will see those TikToks, and directly on the video is a link to buy that product on TikTok's integrated Shopify store. Or yeah, it's basically Shopify store. And basically people can click that link and start buying from you. This is a really good side hustle if you have experience in building businesses. If you have already some business acumen where you understand how to brand things, you understand how marketing works, and if you understand how ads work too, because that's a huge, huge part of this. TikTok organic will only get you so far, right? You can post every day. You can try to consistently get, TikToks up, promoting your product, and one of them will eventually pop off, I'm sure, and you'll start to get kind of that traction. But if you can run ads, that's a great way to start getting that traction without having to, grind out that organic content that you kind of have to do in order to make organic work. You can make a lot of money here if your margins are good. You have to pick the right product and source it from the right place. So that way your margins are decent. Because if you're selling something that costs, $10 to produce and you're selling it for $20, you're only making $10 in margin on that. And it's just, I don't like running a business like that personally. I like high margin, high income, low expense type businesses personally. But if you're somebody who has a lot of time in their hands, you're on TikTok, you understand trends, you understand how things work, you're familiar with dropshipping somewhat, it's not a bad one. So we'll put it at B. Again, there is quite a bit of a barrier to entry here. If you're not familiar with dropshipping, or if you're not familiar with how to create content, especially for products, if you don't have a good eye for that, this could be a little difficult, but still not a bad way of making money. And some people are making quite a bit of money doing it. So I would definitely put it at B. This next one here is web development. I would put this in A if it was easier. Thanks to things like ChatGPT though, and a couple of other, no code tools or coding tools, this is becoming a lot easier to do. But web development, right? Making websites, coding software, very, very high barrier to entry, very difficult to get into. This is something you either have to go to school for to learn how to do, take classes for, or you can try to teach yourself how to code. I've tried to do it myself. It's very, very difficult. It's definitely not something for the faint of heart, but you can make quite a bit of money doing it. Because of this, I'll probably put it at C. It's very, very difficult to learn coding. Might even put, actually, we'll put this at D. Most people aren't going to be able to teach themselves how to code. I'm going to just tell you the honest truth there. If you can do it, it should be an A, but just because of how hard it is to learn how to properly do web development, and thanks to stuff like no code, which basically are making kind of web developers not obsolete, but a lot less, in demand per se than they used to be. It's definitely kind of democratized that whole process. So we'll put that in D just right there. Up next, we have copywriting. As you can see, this is copywriting. Copywriting is a very easy way to make money. Anybody can do it, and that's why it's so oversaturated. So it's kind of hard to get clients. Most people aren't going to hire you if you're a random Joe Schmo off the street. You definitely need to have some kind of personal brand built behind this. If you want to start getting clients consistently for copywriting, I definitely wouldn't recommend just reaching out to somebody and say,
hey, I'll write you emails for this much.
You need to have examples. You need to have testimonials. You need to have reviews. You need to have a lot of things that unfortunately are very, very difficult to get. I would almost put copywriting in D or E, just because of how hard it is to get clients for this, because of how oversaturated it is. Anybody can pick up a keyboard and start writing. It really takes skill to market yourself as somebody who is a uniquely different writer. It's definitely not something I'd recommend getting started with immediately. Up next, we have pet sitting. Pet sitting is honestly not too bad. I like pet sitting because it's a decent way to make some money on the side, especially for like a college student or somebody who has, a full-time student position that you're doing, right? Where you're going to school full-time or you're working a little bit. This can be a nice little side income. You're not going to get paid that much depending on who you're watching dogs for or walking dogs for, or, pets in general, right? Cats, I guess, are probably included in that. But again, you can use apps like Rover. For example, Rover is a really good way to kind of get started with this and start making money, but you're not going to be making too much up front. You can't really charge too much. Most people don't really care. They care about their animals. You're not going to be able to charge like $50 an hour to go walk dogs. It's going to be anywhere between a little bit above minimum wage, wherever you live, maybe a couple of dollars, depending on how you market it. So I would definitely say that this is D tier. There's just not a whole lot of money in it, but it's not bad if you're a, busy person, a busy college student, or you're just a busy young person that isn't trying to pursue more of a full-time, career or something like that. Last but not least, social media management. This is something that you can make a ton of money with, but once again, it is very difficult to get clients with this unless you have either an established personal brand, right, where you're making content and you're an authority, or you have a ton of testimonials, reviews, and really, really strong evidence that you know what you're doing and that you can help other people. Because of that, we'll put it in the C tier again, because you can charge a monthly retainer for this. There's whole agencies that charge like, $5,000 a month to manage somebody's social media accounts. But again, these agencies have testimonials, proof. They have a bunch of benefits that you get when you work with them. It's not just kind of a Joe Schmo off the street sending you a random cold email saying, hey, I'll manage your Instagram and post all your content for, $500 a month or something like that, right? You need to have a really, really solid stack of proof to kind of get people in on this. And that's pretty much our side hustle tier list, guys. These are all really solid things. Again, don't get me twisted on some of these. Some of these you might have different opinions on. I'd love to know down in the comments down below. Also, if you want to get started with something like Shopify, for instance, and get started with dropshipping or TikTok shop, we'll have links down in the description that you can click to get started with either of these. Same with some of these other side hustles too. We'll have links that are relevant to them in the description down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.